Hello, everybody. Reggie Time here, and in just a moment, we're going to be looking at how my December challenge is going of 150 hours play or 60,000 hands. Do one, you probably do the other. So it's not really a dual challenge. Um, things have it's been a mixed month. Um, it's not been great, to be honest with you. It's been a tough grind, and I've done quite a lot of stuff wrong. Um, and I've learned quite a lot about a lot of leaks in my game that we're going to talk about. We're going to look at the results and shit first, and we're going to talk about the things. I've made like a little list of 8 things that I hugely need to improve. I'm a pretty good player. I win at the game. I make part of a living from the game. So I'm obviously doing a lot right, but there's still lots and lots of stuff I'm clearly doing wrong. And the more tables I play and the more time I spend autopiloting, the more these leaks have um, been made very, very clear to me. And yeah, I'm looking forward to getting into it and talking about the stuff that I've headlined because I'm sure quite a lot of it will resonate with lots and lots of you guys. I imagine most of the people who watch my videos are Micro players, mostly losing, some winning, many break even, pretending they're winning when they're not. And you'll all have at least one, if not more, of these issues we're going to talk about. So yeah, we'll talk about that in just a moment. We'll just quickly run through everything. So here's the results for the month overall. Up 600, 671 EV. So in terms of like financially, can't complain. Pretty par, to be honest with you. Just about par, I would say. But more hands to do it. So like my win rate's been not great. 5.636 bigs all in adjusted. It's okay. It's winning. Um, but it could be a lot better. So we go down to by position, and we're apparently winning in. I know that's just this month. Ignore that. Sorry, that's just a custom thing they had set up. Um, so again, can't grumble too much. There's room for improvement in these blinds. The numbers are very good still, above par without question. They're above par, but they could be so much better. Especially my big blind, which we're going to talk about later. So we'll leave that for now. Winning in all of the positions except this one, and that's just sample size related. So yeah, nothing too much to complain about there. And then this one, the cash results graph. That's the result for the month. Again, doesn't look too bad. Pretty big downswing in the middle of it there. Recovered, shit itself again, and then we're starting to recover again. But this is like the thing that's triggered me to really look at what's going on with my autopilot. I'm not a particularly like active redline player. I don't really care very much about redline, but when it's that bad, you have to care. You can see I started doing some work to fix this, and it's already doing much better here in the last whatever that is, 2,000 hands. But it's appalling. It's atrocious. Um, and what this tells me, because I've been doing a lot of six tabling, 5 and 6 tabling, where normally I have 3 or 4 table, and what it tells me is my autopilot game is it's clearly it's winning. We can see by that graph it's winning. It's enough to make me money, but it's not good. So much room for improvement, and the thing is, a lot of the improvement isn't on stuff I need to learn very much. It's more on stuff. It's my execution. Like the knowledge is there. If I play like 2, 3, 4 tables or I'm doing hand reviews with friends, I don't feel like I'm a depth. I feel like I contribute well and make some good points, etc. But when it comes to executing in game, it seems like once I play too many tables, it's not there anymore, and that tells me that if for those of you familiar with the mental game of poker, I haven't learned anywhere near enough of my strategy to a level of unconscious competence. Consciously, I'm competent, but I'm not unconsciously competent. And yeah, if you want to learn more about that, then just Google unconsciously competent or Jared Tendler, and you'll find out. I'm not going to bore people with other people's work here and like try and take any kind of credit for it. But yeah, it tells me that I've learned a lot of stuff. My game is constantly evolving and improving, but when I try to put it to use at like max table count for me, it just doesn't show up very often. It shows up sometimes, but it doesn't show up consistently. That tells me I need to do a little bit more work, do like basically focus more when I'm playing. So I'm not autopiloting because that's kind of what when you're like autopiloting, that's what you're relying on. You're relying on the stuff that you kind of know by default. So like we all know not to open seven deuce. We all know like we not to fold aces pre-flop, etc. That's we've learned that to unconscious competence level. But a lot of the stuff that I've been working on lately, like three betting, being more aggressive post flop, etc. If I'm reviewing hands or if I'm playing a manageable number of tables, that's all there. I've got the time to stop, think about all the things that I need to think about to come to a decision. You know, think about the board section, think about my opponent's range, think about my image. I think about all those things, and I think I play quite well. When I'm autopiloting, I'm not thinking about any of those things. It's just, oh, there's some cards, there's a board, there's, and it's just not good. And we'll get into the reasons for that as we go down. So yeah, this is not good. This needs to significantly improve. Even though I've been winning, red line for me is an indication of how well you're actually playing, because this is just a product of me being in good games with morons. That the fact I'm winning. If I had this red line in tougher games where I couldn't just like win big pots at showdown with against people with bad hands frequently, this green line would probably almost certainly be losing. So we need to address this situation. So what have I been thinking about? What are my bullet points? The first one is when I'm autopiloting, I find reasons to be passive rather than reasons to be aggressive. And when I'm not autopiloting, it's the other way around. I'm not looking to be passive at all, and I'm just looking to like be aggressive all the time. Look to attack capture ranges. Look to put people in difficult spots with relatively weak ranges, etc. Rather than just no, this guy's capped, but I've got two decisions at two of the tables, so I haven't got time to think about it. So I'm just gonna check or whatever, you know. So yeah, when I'm playing 5+ tables, I tend to look for reasons to be passive, or just too passive in general. If I'm not actively thinking about reasons to be passive, it's just my autopilot game is too passive. So yeah, the things I need to do there is like play less tables, focus on what's going on in your hand, constantly be thinking about the hand, thinking about villain's range, thinking about my range, thinking about how both those ranges interact with the board, etc. All the things we're all supposed to do when we're playing good poker, but we don't deliver when we're overwhelming ourselves with like too many tables or what have you. So that's the first thing. I need to focus more on like finding reasons to be aggressive, even if there isn't much of a reason there. Even if like you know the board isn't doing much for your hand, the board isn't doing much for your range, but your opponent is still being passive. Just finding more ways to find aggression in those spots, and just take pots away from people who are basically just waiting to concede them to you. The second one, and I think this is in all games really, more in like Triple Eight speed poker is where I most notice it, and it kind of feeds into two. So we'll do two things at once. It's dealing with like short stacks. So dealing with people who have like 30 blinds and let it dribble, or 40 blinds and let it dribble. Like there's a lot of players with those stacks, and they used to be like, oh yeah, these guys are just fish, doesn't matter. And they are still fish, without question. You know, if you're buying for 30 bigs and letting it dribble, or you're buying for 40 bigs and letting it dribble, you are a fish. There's no mistake about that, unless you're like a quote unquote pro short stacker, but they probably use auto reload. So they are fish, but the problem is there's so many tight ones of them. So many of these guys playing like 18/6 or like 21/4 and what have you. It's really tight, tedious passive fish. And yes, and then the next point I'm going to make is that dealing with very tight passive regulars, like kind of having monster under the bed syndrome, which prevents you from being aggressive. And I think this is what's happened to my game over time, is because I've been playing more and more games with like short stack passive fish. That's why it's taken away a lot of my like aggression, because I'm happy to be aggressive playing deep stacked. I tend to find it difficult to find the aggression when the thought constantly comes in my head, oh, this guy's fucking like tight passive. He's got a pretty tight range. board's not great for my hand. If I bet here, he can just shove his 25 bigs and blah blah blah. And I'm always scared of like the check shove coming when someone's got top pair or an under pair, but he just thinks I've got two high cards or what have you. So they're just willing to commit with it. So it's kind of like monster under the bed syndrome versus some of the shittest, tightest passive players. I'm not bothered about it with aggressive players, 100 blinds deep. The monster under the bed syndrome doesn't kick in anywhere near as much, but it really does for me playing like tight passive regulars, even like ones that are a bit deeper stacked. Because so often you'll just be like, right, okay, this guy's got a capped range, blah blah blah. Board's good for my range, etc., etc. And you just bet 2 or 3 streets. And yeah, they have got a capped range, but they've got some very strong hands in that capped range because they haven't 3-bet certain hands pre-flop, or they 3-bet hand and then just started checking because they're tight and they're passive, etc. So I kind of got a bit scared of just like value owning myself or bluffing too often into like slow played big hands. Well, maybe they're not even being slow played. Maybe they're just too passive with them and scared themselves. So it's led to me becoming more and more and more passive and just like waiting for like strong value hands to bluff with. For strong value hands to value bet with, and then only bluffing with like my decent equity, like flop combo draws or 2 overs flush draw, that type of thing. But when you're only betting value in those hands, you're not finding close to enough bets, which is why Redline does this. So that's something I'm going to work on too. Is just being less bothered about being like shoved on by people with 30 bigs, because we know they've always got strong hands when they do that. So it doesn't matter. We can just like whatever, just try and just pick up all the pots where they are giving up, where they haven't 3-bet ace queen pre, and where it's come down 9 high and they've check called the flop, and they've still got ace queen, ace jack in their range, maybe ace king, all those things, and just try to set them off for at least 2 streets, maybe even 3, who knows. So I need to find more aggression against basically passive shit type passive players. One other thing I'm used to be really good at, now I'm really really bad at. I absolutely stink at bet folding value hands. I fucking stink at it. And I stink at it to the point where now I don't bet thinly enough for value because I'm scared that I'm not going to be able to find the fold button when they raise. It's another really bad leak, because when we bet for value and we get raised in like micro stakes poker, the vast majority of the time you're just getting raised by something incredibly nutted. So like bet fold should be the easiest thing in the world to do. But yeah, it's a big mental game that's crept into my game over the well, certainly over the last 12 months. I'm just really bad at it. So my like subconscious adjustment has just been to value bet less, which again contributes to this red line. Because it fucks our green line a little bit because we miss value with against hands that would have called, and it fucks our red line up because we don't get to trend it upwards when we value bet and they fold. So yeah, that's something else I desperately want to work on quite quickly. And all these things we're talking about now, these are things that I've already hopefully started to try and put into place. As you can see by at the end of this, this is something I've started doing over the last 24 hours really. Another thing I want to work on is improving my blind defense. I did a mini database review session with my good friend Juicenberg123. Sadly, no longer a Twitch streamer, still a confirmed fucking maniac. On what night would it have been? Monday night, and he said he'd seen a couple of things in my database because we share databases to like just to basically leak find for each other and things like that. So he said he was alarmed, and when he says he's alarmed, he's not joking, by my big blind defense and how poor it is. And he's right, and that only gets exacerbated when I'm playing more tables. He found several situations where blind versus blind, I was just playing way too tight, way too passively, not defending enough hands. We did a little bit of work in Equilab, kind of just rammed it home to me. Hands were just not allowed to fold. Frankly, I just wasn't sure. Not sure. I wasn't aware of just how much I was overfolding, especially blind versus blind, and it was quite the eye opener to me. So that's something that's going to be a work in progress, because you can't just say defend more hands and that's it. But it's a starting point. But there's much more to it. Like defend more hands by finding more 3-bets, defend more hands by finding more calls, all those types of things. Defend your blind more by isolating when the small blind limps rather than just checking and let them realise equity, etc. Lots and lots of things I was doing wrong in blind versus blind. And even though, as we saw by this, as we talked about earlier, my overall results in the big blind is pretty decent. They could be so much better. They are pretty shit, to be honest with you, in terms of like when I look at how badly, when it's been pointed out to me how badly I've been playing from the big blind, um, it's hit home to me that yeah, that's an area that needs some pretty urgent attention. On to the next thing that I want to improve on. Improve my bet sizing. My bet sizing is kind of all over the map because I try to size exploitatively. Don't always make a good job of it. Sometimes I make an excellent job. Sometimes I don't. Because sometimes you think you're trying to exploit something based on a sample size that's too small or what have you, or you'll do it a few times and someone will adjust to you. But either way, whichever way we look at it, my bet sizing isn't as consistent as I would like it to be, and there's ways I can fix that quite quickly. Just using certain sizes on certain board texts, etc. It makes everything a little bit formulaic and wooden, but also it's quite easy to develop a relatively solid bet sizing strategy based on like your frequencies and board textures. So that's something that's going to be quite easy to do, I imagine. But it's going to take a little bit of work, and I'm going to need to want to do it. And a lot of it is just putting more thought in, looking at boards. Or two broadways. I'm in position to pre-flop raise are good for my range. It's big bets here. Or like queen low low. Okay, not great for my range, not great for villain's range either. That's small bets here. All those types of things. All the stuff we all know, but we don't deliver when we're autopiloting as well as we'd like to. So that's another thing I want to work on, improving my bet sizing. This is the big one that's coming next because one of my previous videos, I talked a lot about overfolding versus regs, and that is something that I enormously stand by against most regs because most regs woefully under 3-bet. I don't 3-bet close to enough, and my 3-bet stats are still in the top maybe 10% of the pools I play, excluding like the massive outliers of the whales who just 3-bet everything, etc. But there are some better eggs who do 3-bet more effectively, and I can't treat them the same as I treat the rest of like the nitty regs with the 5 or 6% 3-bets. I'm talking about the guys that have the like 15% plus re-steal from the small blind, the guys who are like re-stealing a lot from the big blind, the guys who are like 3-betting the button quite aggressively. Those guys, I need to get better at defending versus those guys, and that's relatively simple work. It's just dig your nose into GTO Wizard, figure out some hands that are mandatory defense that I'm not currently defending. I still have hands to defend now. I just need to find more hands to defend. So quick search through, running some scenarios in GTO Wizard, and then just picking out some better hands to defend, some more hands to defend. Sorry. To improve strengthen my range for defending, to make sure I'm not getting run over as much as I am by some of the better eggs. Again, that's relatively simple work. It then leads into some more tricky post-up situations because I'll be more post-up situations that I'm not used to. But if I'm managing my table count well, it shouldn't be a major issue because I don't mind my game post-flop against most regs that I come up against. Pre-flop, I'm an underdog to quite a few of the regs, some of the better regs, but post-flop I don't think I am. I think I do just fine post-flop versus most regs. And then the final thing which ties into all of this is play fewer tables for maximum if I'm playing regular tables, and true maximum on the off chance I play some speed poker, which to be fair, we haven't done that much of this month. We've played, what have we done? 5,300 hands on. I'm not sure which is which. One's 888 and one's. This is party poker here. Probably played a couple of sessions, maybe 3. Ran really, really hot. Well, I actually didn't run hot, did I? Yes, I did. Yeah, I did. Fucking shut up, Rich. And then some small 888 sessions where I won money, but I played really badly. Punted some stacks off horrendously. So there's some utterly horrific play in that sample. Maybe we'll look at them another day. Maybe we'll just wipe them from our memory. So yeah, we're playing fewer tables. We're going to be playing just 4 tables when I play on iPoker. If I play on party poker, maybe just 1 table because it's so fast. And on 888, maybe 2. But I'm not planning on doing that much fast fold poker because the games, as we talked about in the previous videos, the games are just so bad. It's just not worth my time. My hourly rating is significantly worse than my iPoker hourly rate. It sucks all the joy of poker. It sucks a lot of the joy of poker out of poker for me. It's not good. Um, will I ever fully quit it? Of course I won't. But usually when I go to play it, it can be a good sign that my mental game's not where it's supposed to be. Because I only ever really go to play it when I'm a bit pissed off with the games that I'm in. If things have been going too great in my regular tables, I'm like, oh, let's just go and put some speed poker in. Let's whip our game back into a little bit of shape, and that's a good reason to do it if that's the actual reason you're doing it. But a lot of the time, I'm doing it because just because I'm a little bit tilted and making bad decisions, basically. So yeah, those are my things to work on. So we between now and the end of the year and into next year, so we get next year off to the best start possible. I can't complain. It's been another good year in poker for me. I've made enough money to not have to have a boss. I've made enough money to still be in complete control of my schedule, my day-to-day life, and my work-life balance. And as long as Poker keeps doing that for me, then I'm happy. But if we can do it better and maybe make some extra money on top of the money that I need to live, then that's even better. So yeah, we'll leave it there. I hope some of this has resonated with some of you guys. I'm absolutely certain that it will have. And this really will be my last video for the end of the year. It's Christmas in a couple of days, and my wife and I are both. We don't have any work commitments between Christmas and New Year. I have like one evening for 5 hours. So that means she's going to be in the house getting under my feet a lot. I tend not to make videos when she's in the house. Just too much effort asking her to shut the fuck up, etc. Or hoying stuff to another room or kicking her out to another room. So this absolutely will be the last video of 2022. So all that's left for me to do is wish you all a very Merry Christmas. Very Merry Christmas. Wish you a very happy and safe New Year. I'd wish you all prosperity too. But let's face it, the state of the country, state of the UK now in particular, where most of my viewers come from, is a fucking diabolical disgrace thanks to the fucking absolute cuntbags that govern us right now. 18 months more and we're shut of the bastards with a bit of luck. But yeah, have the best New Year you can have. Just keep fucking punching, basically. It's going to be tough for all of us. Just keep fucking punching. Don't let the cunts grind you down. And we always get out of these messes in the end, don't we? We're not in recession forever. Things will turn around for all of us at some point. We just need to keep punching as hard as we fucking can until that happens. So yeah, I'll say it again. Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy New Year. As always, absolutely fuck the Tories and all the fuckers that support them. And we'll see you again in 2023. Much love from me. Take care and bye-bye for now.